Who are you to not be amazing? Who are you to not go big? We're about to go big with Atari Box Art. Back in the 1970s and 80s, Atari was the gaming console. Yes, Coleco was great too, but Atari was more synonymous with home video games. And the cover art for games they sold was a major factor in the success of the brand. Comparisons to fast food items you buy with their corresponding photos on the menu have nothing on the early line of Atari video games. You need that image on the box art to kickstart your imagination in order to turn those crudely arranged pixels into alien spaceships and gigantic insects. Kicking off with this video's Sunday Deluxe Award is 1982's Yar's Revenge. The box cover art is that of a metallic bug creature, a Yar. Because the graphics were so rudimentary, we're talking Pong level, and the gameplay was insipid and repetitive, Yar's Revenge came with a comic book produced by DC Comics for a more immersive experience. I don't know if the original artwork was done by the same artist or artists responsible for the box art, but the comic lists Frank Circo, Ray Garst, and Hiro Kumara as the artists involved. The album artwork is very dynamic and awe-inspiring. I could see what was probably an influence on comic book artist Ethan Van Sciver with his Cyberfrog character. The backstory for Yars is indefinitely more entertaining than the video game. The Yars are a highly evolved species of housefly who happened to be abroad the first human space mission and evolved over time. One of their planets were obliterated by another alien race, and so now comes the revenge. The shininess of the Yar and bright orange sky combined with the action nature of projectiles coming right at us make this piece pop. Interesting tidbit here. Sears was also a major publisher of Atari video games like Yar's Revenge and Adventure. The Genesis Award for this set goes to 1979's Adventure. I can't find an author to credit for the box art, but it looks like what you would find in a nicely illustrated children's book around that era. It appears to be watercolor illustration, a brush maze, a large dragon, a castle, and what looks like a couple of gnomes. Like Yar's Revenge, Atari and Sears needed to get as much immersion and imagination as possible out of the box art because the game, your avatar is literally a square that you move around and take on an adventure through other squares and block areas and mazes. But the game is credited with essentially creating the adventure genre. Also, one of the enjoyable factors with this game is, much like their artists, Atari did not credit the game developer. And so Adventure's developer Warren Robinette built in a secret Easter egg room with his name in it. Perhaps the box artist snuck his name or her name into the painting somewhere. We just haven't found it. Taking up all the lighting with the Serious Award is 1983's Mario Brothers. There's something about seeing the box art and even gameplay for Mario Brothers, knowing what a smash success and what a household name Nintendo and Mario are today. In a way, it's like seeing Mickey Mouse and Steamboat Willie, or one of the first iterations of Superman in Detective Comics. In comparison with the other box art, the Japanese art style and the style we would ultimately recognize with Mario is already present and thought out. The artwork is only dated by the fact that we know present-day Mario, we know what he's supposed to look like. Like I said with the Steamboat Willie, it's got that sort of silent era look about it, but not overtly dated in the same way the Adventure cover artwork is. It's got a very comic book, mischievous feel about it. Like, it knows it's supposed to be wacky and fun, whereas a lot of games through cover art, while amazing artworks, give the impression that they take themselves pretty serious. Hitchhiking along for the day is the 1986 game Solaris. Solaris is the sequel game to 1979's Star Raiders, a wildly popular flagship game for Atari. With Star Raiders, the player had a first-person, in-the-cockpit perspective, and you would lock targets in your sights. Solaris, on the other hand, was a third-person game. The box art depicts the viewer in the cockpit with their hands engaged in firing upon enemies and flying the craft while it's illuminated red. It's very 1980s looking and conveys a sense of urgency and movement. Perhaps Atari wanted to use this perspective for the cover to reinforce the idea of the first-person popularity and situation, even though the game takes place from a third-person perspective. What makes this artwork so great as opposed to Star Raiders is the addition of the hands. our hands, which humanizes the situation and adds to the stakes. The use of red lighting indicates the danger of such a mission and fits with the 1980s imaging of a spacecraft console. That'll finally take us to our Bigfoot outlier, 1983's Frankenstein Monsters. The artwork features a ghoulish, zombified, blue-looking Dr. Frankenstein and bats and other mystical-looking items, along with someone frightened and hiding, presumably we, the player. Again, we're dealing with a strong, dynamic image, both packed with information yet leading our information before we get to the main course of the game. Some crude pixels and ear-splitting sound effects. The artwork is very well executed and looks like what you might find on the cover of a YA-style book series. Also, with the sort of glowy orb elements surrounding the character, this does look like it could have been an influence on the art style of the hidden object genre games that usually had that sense of magical, creepy, but not really creepy vibe about them. And that's big. That's Atari Box Art. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have a favorite video box art, let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, like, subscribe, all that jazz. We'll see you next time.